What it do? It's your boy, Illuminated D, and you know what I'm saying? We back with another one. The first thing I want to do is thank you to everybody who's liked and commented. And to all the subscribers, Pops and I want to let you know how much we really appreciate you. For you to come and spend your time with us and to consume the content. While we understanding that you have busy lives, we want to thank you and bless. Well, family, today we had Damon on here, and pretty much there was a clip off The View where basically Porshia Williams was saying that sometimes you have to choose yourself. And Damon clashed back, and he pretty much said, instead of choosing yourself all the time, sometimes you have to do what's better for the nuclear family for you to actually have success for yourself and your family. Let's go ahead and watch this clip, and then we'll come back to it and we'll talk about it.
For women out there in America, if you are leaving a marriage, first of all, I applaud you for making a decision for you and doing what's right for you. It's hard to pick yourself when you become one with somebody because you're one. And then all of a sudden, when things are bad, you have to just choose you. So I went into a business that I was passionate about, which is decor and hair, and I'm acting now, so.
Well, Porshia, after listening to all of that, I see why you had 2 failed marriages. We should encourage women not to leave a marriage. Of course, there are exceptions like abuse and other things, but when you say to women out there, I applaud you for making decisions for you and doing what's right for you, it's not all about you. You make decisions that's good for the outcome of your children, which is to grow up with something called a father in the household. I mean, a study after study shows that kids with both parents do better with grades, friends, and future, okay? So I think with that advice of yours, you're basically encouraging women to follow your path, sacrifice their kids to play the main character, maybe have a career if they're lucky, yet still end up miserable like Whoopi.
Family, Damon, Damon, Damon. I just want to clap it up for this guy right here, man. Listen. I get what Porshia's saying. I get it. Sometimes if you're in an abusive relationship, sometimes if you're in a toxic relationship, yes, you have to choose yourself sometimes. Most times. Because if it's physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive, then you absolutely need to exit stage left. Especially if there's infidelity. But look, family, I think everybody needs to understand that it's not always gonna be sunshine and rainbows. You know, when you first start dating, you got you're getting the gifts, you're always doing sometimes these extravagant things, you're going to different places, and then you find yourself in a relationship and you feel as if it's getting a little stagnant, it's not always as up, you know what I'm saying, the energy's not always there. And I think where people got to understand is that, yes, when you don't live together and you're always linking up, it feels like that because you have alone time. But when you're always together, it's similar to a thing like when you have your brothers and sisters when you were growing up in high school or when you were growing up through your whole life. You ever notice like where your brother might go and do something different, your sister, you might go do something different, but then you just kind of coexist, and sometimes you spend time together and sometimes you don't? I think what people got to understand is that it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. Coexisting together just kind of means understanding who your partner is, understanding their routine, understanding their mindset, and just loving them for being who they are and accepting them and understanding that it's not always going to be a roller coaster. Sometimes it's going to be peaceful and it's going to be chill. It doesn't always have to be filled with excitement because that's not reality. Sometimes you're not going to be, on top of Mount Rushmore, jumping off, going skydiving. Sometimes you're going to be at the crib just reading a book. Sometimes you're going to be meditating. Sometimes you're just going to be in the backyard. You want to run your feet through the grass to reconnect with the universe, reconnect with Mother Earth. And if that's boring to you, if that's a reason for you to feel like you just want to up and leave the relationship, then you definitely, absolutely, I can't even say it, supercalifragilistically don't need to have children. Because if that's the type of mindset that you have going into the relationship, you have to understand your vows. For better or for worse, rich or poor, good or bad, in good health and in sickness. You know, it's sad that the new generation, we're just so accustomed to up and leaving. Now, I get it. If it's abuse, mental distress, you know what I'm saying, infidelity, that's one thing. But just to up and leave because you're bored, that's absolutely disgusting. To want to destroy somebody because you got bored is disgusting. Now, I get it. If you both just kind of fell out of love, you gotta understand, like, let's use the brother and sister thing. I like using that because you ever notice, like, sometimes your brother or your sister might annoy you. You know what I'm saying? They might annoy you. They might get on your nerves. But if somebody ever comes and does some harm to your brother or your sister, you know what you're going to do? You're going to be the first one up in arms, ready to go to war. Sometimes they're going to annoy you. You're going to be like, get out my face. You doing too much. But at the end of the day, if somebody else disrespects them, you're going to be the first one up in arms, ready to go to war. See, you got to realize, and I think, family, we got to realize is that sometimes the peacefulness isn't the problem. It's the solution. Peace is solution. Now, if it's chaotic and there's problems going on, you have to stop looking at it like you're the problem and look at like we're together and we're going to attack the problem. Did y'all catch that, family? Your partner isn't the problem is the problem, and you attack the problem to create the solution. And I think Damon did a great job displaying this because there's a lot of single mother households out there and they're trying to raise kids by themselves. And they were dealing with some Pookies, Johns, and Ray Rays who were never going to be there in the first place. They just wanted to smash. And the sad part is nobody's teaching people how to identify this. And if they are giving you that energy, then stop letting them shoot up the club. Unless you're using protection on the birth control, using condoms, vasectomies, tubes tied. Stop getting into these lifelong situational based relationships due to a child through temporary feelings and moments. Stop getting into these having to be lifelong relational based relationships due to children through temporary moments and actions. We got to start realizing that it's not always just about us. I take full accountability. It's not always just about me. Sometimes I've been in the wrong. And you know what I got to do? I got to take it on the chin. And I got to be like, you know what, babe? You're right. I was wrong. It's okay to say that you're wrong and apologize. Everybody's so prideful because everybody always wants to be right. Everybody's always so up in arms because they feel like when somebody's telling them what's hurting them, they're feeling attacked, or they're feeling like your partner's nagging you when they're just telling you what's wrong. And we got to stop causing problems that aren't really problems. Sometimes there's nothing wrong. People really do just be nagging. Maybe it's because they don't really want to be in a relationship, and you just have to be honest about the situation and tell people, listen, I don't really want to be here. But stop getting people into these deep emotional based relationships if you know that you're only gonna be there temporarily. At least keep it 100. At least stand on that. But we gotta stop leaving amazing relationships just because we want to play the main character all the time. It's not always about us. You gotta choose the family, because as a team, you can go further. But by yourself, yes, some people do make it to the top. Some people do make it on TV. Some people do get rich by themselves. But I promise you, that's not true. At the end of it, it's not true, because it still took a team. It still took you working with somebody else. This whole world, this whole matrix, this whole thing runs off relational-based activity, relational-based energy. In order to get anywhere, it takes somebody to hire you on the job. It takes a conversation. It takes communication. And if you're willing to communicate with your boss, you got to be willing to communicate with your spouse, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend. Communication saves relation. Because we all want to be successful. We all want to be somewhere in life. But in order to do that, you got to do something that you ain't never done before. And that's the reason that we doing this right here, right now. Everybody be blessed, be safe. We out. Peace.